Kim, welcome to Success with Soul and to your first podcast interview.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited to have you too. You have been a student in the Six Figure Blog Academy for over a year, right?
I signed up in January of 2020. It took me a few months before I actually did anything with it, but I signed up in January of 2020.
Okay, great. So tell everybody who you are, your business, your blog, and why you signed up for 6FBA in the first place.
Sure. So my name's Kim Reynolds, and I run the cookbook review blog. It's called kitchenlit.com. And it is my goal to provide home chefs with the best recommendations for the best cookbooks for them. For instance, for a newbie cookbook person, I wouldn't recommend something like Julia Child's cookbook because it can be a little stressful. And if that's your first cookbook, you might just throw it away and run away and never cook again. So matching the right home chef with the right cookbook is really important to me, as well as giving them kitchen tips and tricks and cooking class reviews, because we all like to increase our skills and get better. I started doing 6FBA because I had actually owned the blog, the website for my blog, like 5 or 6 years before I started.
Really?
Yeah. And I was so nervous to do it because anytime I would talk about it or mention it, I would have a lot of people that were naysayers and be like, oh, you're not going to be able to make any money. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. So in January 2020, at the beginning of the month, I saw something from Girl Gone Green talking about it. And I decided to go ahead and do it. And then a couple weeks after that, my 10-year relationship ended. And then a month later, I left New York City. And then 2 weeks after that is when everything got shut down for COVID.
And your life didn't stop getting crazy after that happened. So if you are comfortable sharing what's recently gone on in your life and how it's affected your business as well.
Yeah.
Pretty harrowing story.
A little over 2 months ago, we were woken up at a little before 6 a.m. to the fire alarms going off and 2 guys running door to door, beating on the door, yelling at everyone to get out. When I opened the front door, I could smell the smoke. The apartments in our apartment building, the one next to us was on fire. And we quickly ran out. I grabbed my purse and the car keys, which is, thank goodness I did. So we had car keys. My sister ran out. They wouldn't even let her stop to put her shoes on because the fire was so bad next door that 2 guys wouldn't. I turned to lock the door in one of those, just moments of habit. And when I did, it was actually a good thing because the door next to us flew open where the fire was and smoke came pouring out. So I ran down a different set of stairs and it was a nightmare. My sister, I didn't realize at first she didn't see me. So she didn't know where I was for a couple minutes until I came out the other set of stairs. Yeah, it was a little bit. So we watched our building, the whole roof wound up burning and collapsing into our apartment. We lost almost everything. We were able to get some family jewelry and a couple keepsake things and some photos. But that's pretty much it that we recovered from the apartment.
Wow.
In total, 39 units were damaged in the beyond uninhabitable in the place. But the great thing was because those 2 guys went door to door, because we have so many false alarms, that everyone got out. So one person had a minor injury to their hand, but everyone except for us, everyone in our block had dogs and cats. No animals were injured and no people were injured. But when you run a cookbook review blog and you lose everything in your kitchen, it's a little tough. And I had just brought back all of the family recipes. My mom had finally found them. She had misplaced them and I had brought them back and they were sitting on my bookcase and we never found them. They were destroyed. And they were all my grandmother's and my Nana's handwritten recipes, or even some that were my great Nana's handwritten recipes.
It's not the first time you told me this story, but it just still breaks my heart so much. And I will say, one of the reasons why I love having a community of people is because when this happened, you came and you very bravely shared about your experience and everything that's been happening inside our Facebook group. And we actually put together a little kind of mini fundraiser for you to help you get some cookbooks and some things back. And so if anybody is listening and is like, I want to help, we'll put a link to some things in the show notes where you can help Kim recover some of her some things are irreplaceable for sure.
Mhm.
But we do have a little fun going. And Kim, if there's anything else that you've added since then, I know we've talked about you putting like a fire registry together
Yeah,
and
I put one together of cookbooks that I was looking to replace right now. And so that's, I think the biggest thing is getting cookbooks. Like we bought like some pots and pans and stuff, that kind of stuff, like right away because we had to be able to cook,
right.
you know. And so I think that's like the biggest thing is just I probably had close to 100 cookbooks. And I've been very fortunate. Some friends of mine that I know that cookbooks that I've reviewed and stuff had sent new ones, and some other people have gone on my list and sent some. And then with all the donations and stuff, and between friends and family, I mean, we've been so lucky with how everyone's reached out. And in my own life, like, I mean, after everything that's happened in the past year and a half before the fire, like, there are times when you feel like disconnected to people, but I talked to people since the fire that I haven't talked to in years, friends and family and stuff. And like, it was just, I mean, I think it was really scary because my sister and I live together and we have a lot of common friends. And so for a lot of people, it was that thought of they both could have been gone. Because
Right.
honestly, 2 minutes longer, we wouldn't have made it out of the apartment
It's
because it
terrifying.
was like watching it, like, yeah. And still, I mean, like not knowing why it happened or anything. And we still don't know and don't know when we'll know why it
Yeah.
happened. But it's, I think that on the flip side, you learn about like what you really need. And there's things like there's a lot of stuff I had that I'm not going to replace, but then there's a lot of stuff that I'm like even today getting ready, like I had to go get a new shirt because pretty much what I bought is t-shirts. And I
Mhm.
was like, I don't really want to wear like a t-shirt, you know, for an interview. And I'm like, oh, I don't have my blue sweater because I don't have really all my good clothes were in the closet. Nothing came
Ugh.
out of the closet. And so it's
I'm
like,
sure it's like every day you remember something
yeah.
else that you
Yeah. And
don't
I
have
have
anymore.
it happened to a cousin of mine over a year ago, and he said a year later that they still go to look for something and they're like, oh, we lost that in the fire.
Oh
It's
gosh.
just I was like, well, great, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I'm trying to look on the bright side of it. And I'm really lucky because I had a lot of support. I had the 6-figure blog academy group, which I become close friends with a couple of the girls in there. And then I met through another mastermind I met someone who actually is a life coach that like 2 weeks before the fire happened, I hired to work with for the summer. And honestly, she's been a godsend for me, like someone to
Good.
really just like reach out to and talk to when you feel like so overwhelmed and everything with
Yeah.
her. Because I mean, I think for everyone, if anyone has gone through this, they understand like it is probably one of the most overwhelming things because nobody knows what to tell you to do
Right.
or what's going to happen next. And if you haven't, go make sure you're taking pictures of everything that's in your house, open every cabinet, everything, and take a picture at least or a video because we had to list every individual item on insurance.
Ugh,
And
yes, you told me that when we spoke about this a few months ago, and I haven't done it yet. And that you're reminding me, like, what am I waiting
mhm,
for?
yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
even if something else happens and you have a flood or something, even then sometimes it's hard to remember what was in it. Sometimes you can find stuff with a flood until you're be able to remember, oh, well, I had that book or I had this or whatever. But like we had to put like how many shirts and how many dresses and it's like things like that that you're like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm one of those super organized people. So I can like in my mind open a cabinet and see what was in it. And so that was lucky for us that we were able to do that. But it's just overwhelming. But on the flip side, I mean, some good has come of it, like, you know, reconnecting with friends and family and like realizing like for me, like I really wasn't planning to come back to Virginia when I did, but when my relationship ended, I really just needed somewhere to land. And so I decided to come back to my sister's because she offered for me to come here. And it was the best thing in the moment to come. But now I know like I don't want to be in Virginia. I left Virginia 11 years ago and I had no plans to come back.
Yeah.
So now I'm just looking to move forward.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Well, I thank you for bravely sharing your story again here with us. And anybody listening who has been through something similar or wants to reach out to Kim and offer support in some way, like I said, we'll put some resources in the show notes. And I'm glad that You've had a lot of support from friends and family and life coaches and communities and all of that, and that you have a business that you can move with. And, short of some cookbooks and some equipment like that, there's not a whole lot of like, owning a brick and mortar store and losing all of your business that way. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about your blog and your business. I know you mentioned that you joined 6FBA back in January 2020, but that you had this blog, like the domain at least, for 5 or 6 years. So what made you decide like now is the time and that you were going to believe in yourself to do this?
I had been in a long-term relationship with someone that was a functioning alcoholic. And as much as I loved him, I wasn't helping him in any way. And it got to the point where we realized it wasn't working anymore. And so we decided to just separate. And I think at that point, like I took all the focus I had been focusing on him, trying to help him, and decided like, no, I need to be focusing on me because I lost who I was in that relationship, like really lost myself. And so for me, I wanted to move forward, and that meant figuring out what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to do this. Why haven't I done it? And it was funny when I saw Susie from Girl Gone Green talk about the Six Figure Blog Academy. At that point, we hadn't officially broken up, but we had been having really deep discussions about separating. And so I think I knew in my mind it was over, but we hadn't really like officially said, okay, this is it and we're going to move on. And so seeing that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to sign up for this. And then it took me a couple months before, with all the moving and everything and COVID hitting and everything, I think it was like mid-April when I really started doing the program. And then I wound up launching my blog on July 20th of 2020. And so I was able to go live, and I was so scared. I remember about what people were going to think and what people were going to say. And you were so supportive and so like, no, just do it. Like, don't worry about what other people are going to think. And it was true. Like all the reaction I've had from friends and family has been really good. And the people that I thought were going to come in and make some, snide comments, people I know and stuff, haven't even, I don't think, gone to my blog, which is fine.
Right.
I don't, that's
They're not the
fine.
ones who are going to make or break your
No,
business anyway, right?
no.
Yeah, I think that the fear of what other people are going to think when you launch something that's sort of a public facing business, like being a blogger, is the most common thing I hear from people, short of like, I don't have the time or money, is like, what's everybody else going to think? And there's the fear of what are people going to think if it doesn't work, but there's even the fear of just what are people going to think even if it works, like
Right.
that fear of judgment. So how did you get past that?
I think for me, it was just, I had to think about, okay, what do I want? And like, can I deal with it if people are judgmental? And it was honestly some extended family I was worried about really being judgmental. And I was like, you know what? I can block them. I can ignore them. If they become a problem, I can pick up the phone and call them and have a conversation. And I was just like, I have to do this for me. I have to take the next step. And I think the same way we invest money in ourselves, we have to invest in believing in ourselves. And you have been a big proponent of like, you have to invest in yourself. And I think that's in more than just the money. It's like, we have to invest belief in ourselves. And like, I mean, I think about 6 months after I had moved in with my sister, she made a comment that she noticed I was getting back to who I used to be. And I was like, I didn't even realize how much I had changed. And then, so it was like, it was noticing that and noticing that I was moving in the right direction. And I feel like the Six Figure Blog Academy made a huge impact on me because we had the community, like where you can ask questions and you can really support each other and celebrate everyone's wins. And I mean, like, I've made friends that I really are great friends for me. And Julie, who lives over in Scotland, we've become really good friends. I mean, and so it's like, that community is huge as far as like being supported, because not everyone, like, I mean, my immediate family totally supports me, but they don't always understand
They
like
don't know
what
what
I'm
we're talking
doing.
about.
No.
Right.
And so I think it's for people, a lot of people like still don't even know how to explain like blogging or whatever. And so they don't even know what to say when other people ask them, well, what does she do? And it's like, she runs a blog, like she's a blogger. And so it takes sometimes some, confusion and stuff with that, but having other people who understand what you're going through and what you're looking at and what you're trying to figure out, and when you're setting up different parts and you need some advice on what to do or what program to use, that is, for me, has been like just life changing, making me feel more confident about what I was doing. And that building that confidence, I think, is how I've gotten to the point of being able to just move forward.
So I love your story so much. And I feel like it seems like blogging really helped you find your way back to yourself. And I'm curious, just that not doesn't have to be about 6FBA or anything, just like the process of blogging. Why was that so powerful for you?
I think because I got back to doing the things that I like. I mean, I'm pretty good with computers and stuff. And but I also I'm a very task oriented person.
Mhm.
And I like to I'm one of those people that has a crazy checklist of like a ridiculous amount of things on it. But even if it's not stuff I need to do today, I like to have it written down so I don't forget it like in a week or two if it needs to be
Right.
done. And for me, blogging, starting with it was like starting through the checklist of like, okay, so this is how I set it up. And I used, Bluehost for the hosting. And, I bought my domain years ago with GoDaddy. And so I had to move everything over, but it was like following the checklist of how to get everything done. And then you realize like, I just put this little bit of effort in, look at what I've got, and you start to see all of the gains. And for me, I think that was a huge thing. And it got me back into cooking more than I was, and like trying new things. And I mean, things
Seeing
that,
like you can do hard things and you can
yeah,
learn new things and new skills. And I found that process, like the early days are really, they're hard because you're brand new and you don't know anything. You don't know what you don't know and you're afraid, but they're also like so rewarding. Like even just the little things early on, like, wow, I switched everything over to this new host. And that seemed really big and scary. And I did it. And like, yeah, it builds that confidence muscle.
yeah. And so when you try to do something even harder, like, I mean, I know it's something that's probably simple for a lot of people, but on my homepage originally, I removed like the things like where you have the categories. And when you look at a blog post, you might see like, you might also like these, and it would
Mhm.
show up with the pictures. Well, I removed those when I first set it up because I didn't have a lot. And so I was like, I don't want it to just show with like the same two pictures every time. And so about a couple months ago, I was like, okay, I need to put that back. I want to put it back. And so it took me a little bit to figure it out. But because I had all the confidence of working with WordPress for the last year, figuring everything out and moving through it, I was able to, it took me a little bit, but I was able to figure it out and get it back the way I wanted it. And like it was something that I think in the beginning that if I had looked at that and tried to figure that out, that would have been like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
But it's like taking it step by step and going through everything and trying to figure it all out. It's even like the same thing with like SEO, trying to figure everything out for SEO, which is really important. You just have to take it step by step. And I've had some blog posts that have been huge hits and some that aren't. And then I have some that I don't get anything. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, I'm noticing,
Yeah.
it's doing really well. So
Right. Yes. SEO is the marathon game. It's the long
yeah.
game. If you try it and in 2 weeks you don't get the results you want, you give up. Well, you're like, it was never going to happen for anybody that quickly. So, um, yeah. And I'm so inspired by your story too, because I think, again, a lot of people have the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work out? And I get the sense from you that regardless of like whether or not you ended up achieving your revenue goals or things that are more sort of the like traditional, like it worked out,
Right.
that it felt like it was all a worthwhile endeavor and pursuit because of just some of the personal gains that you got from going through the process.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like for me, yes, I want to get it to the point where I'm 100% supporting myself off of my blog. I mean, like we all do, and
Right.
but for me already it's a success. I made it over a year, which was for me huge. Like,
That's
and I
huge.
have
Most
other
people don't
than
make it that far.
I know, and other than the week of the fire, I have posted twice a week, every week since I started. And
Amazing.
I think that too is the consistency. And so for me, in my eyes, I've already made it and I've got plans of what I want to do next. And, like we all have those dreams of what we want to do with our blog and where we want to take it. And so I think that having the blog and having these goals and aspirations that I want to do, it allows me to do what I want, and it allows me to have flexibility. Like, I mean, eventually I plan to move to Europe. And so for me, that's a big deal. And I want my blog to be what supports me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just working it and keeping going, but it's already in my eyes a success because of like just even all of the things I've been offered and all the people I've met and all of the connections I've made. It's huge. Like, you don't even realize like the whole community itself. People talk about meeting friends on Instagram, and it's crazy, but you do.
Oh, for
Like,
sure. I mean, I can speak to my own programs that I've joined to learn new things and masterminds and things like that. And some of my very best friends in the world now came from being in those programs together. And there's something about going through a common experience together, sharing that. And like you said, especially people with normal jobs and, they don't know what blogging really means and what it looks like. And we can even still, I've been doing this since 2015. And I feel like my parents are still asking me questions sometimes like, so how do you make money again? I'm like the same way as before. Nothing's changed, but it's still just like, if you're not doing it, I guess it's hard to grasp.
right.
Okay. So we talked about how it's sort of worth it regardless of the results, but I know you have gotten some great results too. Do you want to share some of the wins so we can celebrate with you?
I mean, well, I think the number one is making it 1 year. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
I'm seeing sales through my affiliates,
Awesome.
which is great because, that's always nice to see. And it has been consistent,
Yeah.
which is great. And I'm getting approved for more and more affiliate programs, which is even better because we all know that, different programs have different things. And I love doing the affiliates, but I've also myself, I think I've invested a lot more in myself recently. Like, I decided to sign up for the Impacting Millions with Selena Sue,
Yeah.
and I love it. And I had been doing really great before the fire. And then I kind of took a step back afterwards. And now I've gotten back on track and I'm working through all of that. But I've met a great affiliate, a great accountability group through that. That has been a lot of women. It's just, there's 4 of us in the group and it's great. We're all supporting each other and talking and just
Awesome.
helping each other move forward. And I think for me, that's one of the big things is just all of the connections and everything I've made, that I see all the progress and I see where it's going.
Right.
And so I think that it's just at the point of really starting to grow my business to where I want it to be.
Yeah. And making it past that 1 year mark, like I said, is so huge. And so few people do it like that. There's a reason why most blogs fail. And I think one of the big reasons is because people don't give it enough time and they give up before the 1 year mark. But, I only made like $6,500 in my first year of blogging. I spent way more than that. So I'm sure I was in the red. And yet if I had given up then I never would have gotten to where I am today, which is now making over $500,000 blogging and online. And it's like, you just have to get that first year, and around that 1 year mark, I feel like is the hardest hump to get past. Cause after a year, you're kind of like, shoot, I really need this to be making more than it is. But there is that snowball effect that happens. And I know your
Yeah.
snowball is starting to roll down the hill.
And I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see like more of the blog posts take off with the SEO, and even things that I didn't think would, like a post I did about a Rocco DiSpirito book called Now Eat This. Lately it's gotten a ton of traction, and I just thought it was like, it's like, to me, it's like, okay, that wouldn't be something I would think would be a huge SEO get, but it's all of a sudden now getting a ton of traction. I'm not sure why, but I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
No.
And yes, and you mentioned Impacting Millions, which we were an affiliate for, and you joined through our bonuses and everything, which was really cool. Any results you've seen from Impacting Millions so far? I mean, obviously you're here on this podcast, which is your first press hit and related to Impacting Millions. Anything else coming up for you?
Not yet. I'm actually just redid my brand story, and I've been working on a bunch of pitches. And in the next week, that's what I plan to really focus on, is getting all the pitches sent out.
Yeah.
And really start to reach out to more editors and do some guest posting and some more podcasts.
Yeah.
And so that's my main goal right now, is to work on that. The fire had me take a little step back. I was going so good, and then I lost all my notes in the fire, which was a little
So
upsetting, but
yes.
I've managed to redo most of it and figure out and go back through what I was missing and for notes and come together with it. So
Yeah, I'm so glad. And I hope that you are giving yourself plenty of grace that you went through an incredibly traumatic experience. It would be unusual to not have that affect your work, and you need that rest to,
yeah.
recover.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people have been like, I just don't know how you guys are still standing. I don't know how you're
Yeah.
doing anything. And it's like, I mean, you have to put one foot in front of the other. I mean, it's not easy and it's not fun, but if you can't, I mean, like, you can lay in bed for a few days, but like after a little while, you just have to get up and do stuff. You have to try to make life as normal as possible,
Yeah. Well,
which
you have so much courage, and your story has always been so inspiring to me. I'm curious, what's one of the biggest struggles aside from recovering from a fire? What's one of the biggest struggles you're having right now in your business?
I think the biggest thing is just getting people to sign up for my newsletter. Like, I have a lot of
Mm,
people that go to my website and stuff, but I don't wind up with a ton of newsletter subscribers. And so, and
okay.
I have a pop up that comes up when you land on my site and everything. And I have like a sidebar sign up as well that is there permanently. But I don't get as much traffic there as I would like for people to sign up.
Okay, so we'll transition for a minute into, let me put my coaching hat on and see where we can help you here. So one thing is, what are you currently offering your newsletter subscribers? So I just went to your site while we're
Yes.
talking.
Um,
You can answer, but I'm looking at it
I
right now.
Right now I'm offering the free bookmarks. I think
Okay.
it says that in the pop-up. I've created cookbook bookmarks so you can download and you print at home and then use them to mark your favorite recipes. So you don't use like those sticky tabs and stuff, because
Yeah,
most of those will eventually rip off the print in your cookbooks.
got it. So I think it's a great idea, but with everything, we got to A/B test. And so if it's
Right.
not working, if it's not converting, try something else. What's something else that you could offer? I like that you're offering something specific, although I'm looking at your pop up right now, and it's really pretty, and it says, looking for new ways to inspire your culinary passion. Subscribe to our email list today and keep current with our cookbook and class reviews and kitchen tips and tricks. Um, then it says at the end, and get our kitchen lit bookmarks free. It's hidden in there. Like, nobody's going to read. I
That
think
far.
people aren't reading that far. They're just kind of seeing what looks like a more generic subscribe to our email list. I wonder
Gotcha.
if you tried having it say, just get the bookmarks. Like, that's
Okay.
the only focus, and see if people convert better that way. And you could also try something totally different. Like, what's some kind of quick checklist, PDF guide?
Well, I have made a PDF of what you should have in your kitchen, like kitchen essentials, and that
Mm-hmm.
I released with my fresh start post that I did since the fire, about how to rebuild your kitchen. Like,
Okay.
whether it's from if you're getting out of a divorce and you don't have anything in your kitchen, or you're someone that just graduated college and you don't know what to put in your kitchen. So I have a kitchen essentials checklist that
Yeah.
lists everything from what you need for utensils to tableware to barware to pots and pans and electrics and everything as well.
Right. Okay. So I love that idea. And what I'm thinking is two things. One is, you could experiment with having that live like as your main pop up or your
Mhm.
main call to action just on your homepage, or putting it in a bunch of different posts that are related. So I think one thing that happens is people get overwhelmed thinking they have to create like a content upgrade or a freebie for every single blog post. What I've found to be the most successful is to pick like 5 key pillars of like the main things that you talk about, the main categories, and then create an opt-in for each of those 5. And then
Okay.
you can reuse each of those opt-ins in like whatever your post is. Okay, this is in category B, then this gets this content upgrade. So you don't have to create dozens and dozens, but you have a handful. I would say 3 to 5 is the number I would suggest starting with. And then you can see which ones convert really well. Why is that? Is it because the offer is better? Is it because it's more targeted to people who are on that post and that's like, this is the next step for them? So you can kind of analyze and figure out what's working best and why, and then it will also help you create more content knowing that it's working.
Right. No, those are great ideas. Yeah, I have a couple others that I've been working on, like meal plan, like how to, like I have a meal plan template that people can like even list out like the cookbooks they want to cook. And I have a couple other ones I'm working on. Something I created years ago for myself. I created myself a custom Excel grocery checklist.
Yep.
So which lists the things I normally buy on it. And it's something that I want to post and give to people where they can go in and then edit it. Because when you have a list like that you buy, like if you know you buy all-purpose flour and you buy vanilla and you buy, brown sugar and stuff, like it's easier to have a list that you can just check it off versus all the time like having to sit there and write out a huge long list. Like
Right.
even with the fruits and veggies, I would list all the ones I would eat on a normal basis, and
Right.
then they're there and I can easily check. But there's also lines if you're adding something weird or different that you don't normally eat, trying something new.
Yeah.
But for me, it's been a huge help. Like when I use that because it makes it so much simpler to. And I
Yeah.
also, like, I'm the type of person that I love to have things categorized. Like I have it
Yes. I
categorized
love
by
your
like
organization.
produce in one section, meats in another. And that way because if you write the list and you're just writing it out as you think of stuff, then you like get to the end of your shopping and you're like, man, I forgot to get a hamburger and it's all the way back on the other side of the store or
Right.
something.
Exactly.
So,
Okay. So as we wrap up here, can you, my last question for you is, what is something about blogging that you wish more people knew?
ooh, um, it's not you shouldn't think of it as scary as I think a lot of people when they're first starting out think it is. Like I myself was really scared to get everything set up and really put myself out there. But the majority of people are very supportive of your blog and the people you know and care about, and even strangers who come on and look at it and stuff. Like the majority of the comments are good comments. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there are trolls and they will post negative stuff, but most of it is really good comments. And I think that a lot of people are so scared, like I was, to put yourself out there. You just
Yeah,
don't want to, and it's not as scary as it seems in the beginning.
for sure. Such good advice. Thanks so much for being here, Kim. Remind everybody
Thank
where they
you.
can find you.
Yep, you can go to kitchenlit.com, and I'm on Instagram at mykitchenlit and on Facebook at kitchenlit.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.